I would say that she is a queen of the mom baby postpartum world online.
I was super prepared for labor and delivery, but no preparation for postpartum. Please prepare for postpartum just as much as you would labor and delivery.
Motherhood is all-consuming.
Having babies, nursing, feeling the fear of loving someone that much.
And there's this baby on your chest, and boom, your entire life has changed.
It's a privilege of being your child's safest space and watching your heart walk around outside of your body.
The truth is, I can be having the best time being a mum 1 minute, and then the next I'm questioning all my life choices.
I'm Lo Mansfield, your host of the Lo and Behold podcast. Mama of 4 littles, former labor and postpartum RN, CLC, and your new best friend in the messy middle space of all the choices you are making in pregnancy, birth, and motherhood. If there is one thing I know after years of delivering babies at the bedside and then having and now raising those 4 of my own, it is that there is no such thing as a best way to do any of this. And we're leaning into that truth here. With a mix of real life and what the textbook says, expert insights, and practical applications, each week we're making our way towards stories that we participate in, stories that we are honest about, and stories that are ours. This is the Lo and Behold podcast. I am really excited to share this conversation. I know I say that every time I have a guest, but it's true. I have Kara with me from Kara the Baby Nurse. So I'm going to guess you've heard of her. If you haven't, you have now. You're going to again, especially if you're in this like baby having season. She is a mom baby nurse. She's a mom of 3 of her own, and she's a hospital-based nurse for 8 years as well. So she's still practicing at the bedside, which we'll get into a little bit too. She loves educating patients about patient respect and advocacy. She's on all the social media platforms. We will share those with you guys too. And she does like to throw a little bit of humor in her education, which I love. You're not going to get like this really rote mechanical teaching, nothing wrong with that, but she definitely dashes in who she is and all the real stuff too. She is kind, she is empathetic. You will see all of that come across the page, and I think you will feel it and hear it in our conversation today too. So let's get into it. Today's guest is someone that I am sure that you have heard of, and if you haven't, well then I'm glad that you have now, because I would say that she is a queen of the mom baby postpartum world online.
Sweet.
I have Kara with me, better known as Kara the Baby Nurse. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then we'll get into our combo.
Oh, hey, thanks for having me. Hey guys, I'm Kara, as we already established. I'm Kara the Baby Nurse. You can find me on all the platforms, so YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and I do kind of content about everything. I talk about labor and delivery, pregnancy, postpartum, child rearing, potty training, sleep training, all the things.
Star Wars.
And I'm a mom. Star Wars, yeah.
Just sometimes.
My other little random things that I like. But yeah, I have 3 kids. They're 7, 5, and 3. So, and I work still bedside at the hospital, so I'm still a working nurse. And then yeah, so that's who I am.
It's perfect. I was just thinking in my head, I got to interview Sarah, labor nurse junkie as well, who's obviously a best friend of yours. And I think I called her the queen of the labor and birth world. So now that's like two intros of 2 queens coming up for you guys.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's like a high bar for me to try and
She's pretty great. Well, I mean, you obviously are aware of this, maybe not everyone listening, but Kara is kind of a little crew of 4 people, not some sort of specific members only thing. Birth Talk on Instagram and I'm sorry, on TikTok and Instagram, I guess technically.
Oh, well, you're part of it too. Everyone is. We kind of say that we're like, I don't even know who started that, but I'm like, everyone is in birth talk. Like everyone who does content is in the birth world. Like we're all one big family. So it's not
I've
an
seen you say
thing.
that to someone. No, I don't want you guys to think it's an exclusive thing, but it has been fun to talk to all of you guys, and also know that you have relationships, offline as well. Cause I think there's a weird parasocial thing that goes on between any educator online and those offline, but then also the friendships and relationships that develop from like, I guess I'll say like creator to creator. I just think it's cool. Yeah.
That is sweet. Yes.
Okay. So I want to jump into, I know you do educate about everything, and I thought this would be kind of a fun question to just clarify for us. You're in mom baby nursing. I was curious if you ever did L&D, or if your hospital does LDRP, or or how'd you land specifically in mom baby for your bedside work?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, I do not. Not on an LDRP unit. It's a split unit. It's a pretty big hospital. So labor and delivery is one floor, and then I'm on mother baby, a whole separate other floor. I'm also cross-trained with the NICU, so I do float there. Actually, I work there more than I do mother baby, which is funny, but that's just because I'm PRN, so I float. It's like always my turn to float when I work. But I also sometimes do float to, we have a high-risk labor and delivery floor as well, but that floor gets, if there's a patient who's had a loss or any high-risk postpartums or sometimes GYN surgery people. So I can take those patients as well. No one who's like actually pregnant with a baby. So I'm not trained in any kind of like fetal monitoring or anything like that. Not like you, but yes, anyone whose baby has come out of them, I can take care of. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I like the question. I did LDRP where you get to do all of it, but we definitely had nurses who were like, do not give me mom baby. Give me the,
really?
the charge nurse started to know personalities of certain nurses. And it was like, technically we all had to be trained to do anything and step into any room and take care of whoever. But there were definitely some people who ended up mostly being mom baby. Definitely some
What
people
did you
who
like? What's your
okay, this
preference?
sounds cheesy. I really like all of it. And that's one of the things I'm most grateful for because I'm not at the bedside anymore. But I feel like when I was there, I got to do all of it because I listened to you teach about something and I just think, oh, I loved that part. Or, oh, that part was really hard. Like the mom baby, you get more hands on with the baby. And no, it's not like you're holding a baby all day. But you get to spend time with that family in a different way because labor is so intense in another way. Like they're not here yet. Yeah. Everyone's really worried about different things. And so I just think they both give you access to these families and then the baby and that care in a really different way. So I feel like it kind of depended on my mood sometimes even and how, I don't know, like if I felt really relational in one way or the other, like how much time at the bedside maybe that meant you would, I don't know. I think it changed for me. I do love the thrill of actually delivering the baby. Like I'm not going to pretend that like that moment will never, ever, ever lose its luster. And I really love delivering someone and then getting to be their postpartum nurse. So that to me is the dream. So you just do all of it. Sweet. And when you come back the next day, you could say, hey, can I do mom baby? And can I take them back? And so that's really cool. So I feel like patients who I got to do like from admit to discharge for 2 or 3 shifts is kind of, those are like the patients that I almost remember the most because you got to do the whole thing with them. It's pretty cool.
That is really sweet.
Yeah. Okay. So were you working when you were pregnant? I'm assuming yes, because I know the ages of your kids now. Yeah. Were you mom baby nursing and did that? I mean, how did those two things, your postpartum experiences play into kind of what you're doing now? And did that make you show up online because you thought, hey, we need to for XYZ reasons? How'd that work?
So I literally found out I was pregnant right before I took the NCLEX. So I graduated in December 2017, and then I got pregnant like literally the day after I graduated.
Yeah, you did.
Which I didn't really anticipate it would happen that quickly. So that's on me. But I found out I was pregnant on the 1st, on like New Year's Day, 2018, and then I took the NCLEX and I started my job like January. And so that was my first job was in oncology. So I did it was like med-surg oncology. And so like literally the first 9 months of my pregnancy was my first 9 months of my job. And it was all med-surg. And there was a lot of things I liked about it. I love oncology patients, but it also wasn't where I always knew I wanted to be for sure. So then I had my baby at the hospital where I worked. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to be here. I was like, get me over here now. I went back to work 6 weeks later, which was awful. I was still bleeding. I mean, that's a whole other story, like maternity leave and how bad it is and everything. But yeah, my postpartum experience was my postpartum recovery at home and just being postpartum was honestly awful, which kind of did end up later how I got into content creation. But anyways, so I knew I wanted to be in mother baby after I'd had my baby there because I was treated like an absolute queen. And people are like, well, that's just because you worked there. And honestly, no one knew that I worked there. I didn't tell anyone I was a nurse. I think someone did figure it out later, but I never told anyone. I didn't want to be treated differently or anything. I was like, I'm just a patient. But I was literally treated like an angel, like a queen. Everyone took amazing care of me. I had to work another like 7 or 8 months in med-surg before I eventually could move over into mother baby. And so I was in med-surg for about a year and a half, and then I eventually moved over to mother baby, and I've been there ever since. So I've been a nurse at the hospital for like exactly 8 years now. I just hit my 8-year anniversary. So I've been in mother baby now for like whatever. So eight minus 1.5, whatever that is, 6.5, whatever. So I've been a mother baby that long, and yeah, that was part of the reason why I wanted to do content. It kind of happened by accident. I was just goofing around on TikTok making videos, and then randomly a video went viral about how I had to go to work in a snowstorm and was still breastfeeding my second child at the time. And then everyone was asking me, it was like 2021, and people were like asking me all these questions about the hospital and like, because it was still kind of COVID-ish times a little bit. So people were like, what's the policy right now with this? And what's going on with that? And like, when I come to the hospital, am I allowed to bring this? And I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many questions that people have. And I was like, I mean, I just had never really thought, I was like, oh, there's already plenty of people already making like videos about this. But then I was like, what's stopping me? Like, why don't I just do it too? So then I started making videos, and I look back at the early ones and they're so bad, but
you're not supposed to look back at them. Never. I know. Never.
Oh, they're so cringy. But that's how I got started. That was in 2021. And then I've just been going full force ever since. And I just was doing TikTok. I did TikTok for like 2 years exclusively. And then I was like, I need to be on other places in case TikTok disappears. So then I started my Instagram maybe 2 years ago, I think. And then Facebook and YouTube and everything else kind of happened. So, but yeah, I just wanted to start educating people. What about you? When did you get started and how did you do it?
You're so funny. You keep asking me the same questions back. Well, I was going to say, I think it's interesting how many people like around our age, you're a little bit younger than me, but have such a similar story of almost falling into this because these online platforms exist and they were really, I think, kind of starting to grow. And then maybe we went through COVID and that's when we realized people are on them more. And then I feel really similar to you where it was like 2021. And I thought if I share this stuff online, maybe someone would want to listen. Like, why can't I do it too? And for me, it was just almost more of an outlet of, I love all of this so much. And I'm home with these 2 kids and it was still COVID-y. And so it was just like, how do I still, if I talk, maybe I'll just throw it online and talk about the things I love and see if anyone wants to listen. And it was like, oh, people do. And so there was that doesn't sound great, like business-wise, there was no intention or something behind it. It was just like, I really love talking about this.
That's probably why it did well or does well, because it's like, you just genuinely, you're not trying to like go into it as a business. You're like, I just feel passionately about it. And that comes across to people.
And I think that's almost the hardest part of sometimes is like, oh, well, if you're going to spend that much time doing something, how does it, serve you or serve your family? But there's also the like, I always joke like Q&As in my Instagram stories. I could do them for 4 hours and waste an entire, I just love answering questions. Like you're saying, everyone's like, hey, how do I don't know, bring my colostrum to the hospital or whatever. It's like, you should have an answer for that. Like, why would we? And so I think I do love the really specific ability to just like on TikTok or Instagram now too, how you can answer the question that someone leaves as a comment. And it's like, well, that's easy. I can just answer that really quickly. So I just think, it's interesting how so many of us just thought, I have all this information. I think it could help someone. And then things have, grown from there in whatever way, depending on who you're talking about. It's not like I think now maybe some creators I've heard that not younger children, let's say high schoolers, like one of the primary jobs a lot of these kids want is content creators. So it's this like thought process of that will be my career or that will be my job. And maybe this is how I'm going to do it. And I think a lot of us who started these last, let's say 5-6 years or so, it was almost the opposite. Of like, content creation. I could teach about this stuff and then it becomes a career or a part of your career. So just cool to look back. I'm sure 10, 15 years from now, anyone who's a content creator might actually have a little bit more of like, I intentionally stepped into this space and I had a plan for how I would show up instead of it maybe being quite as organic.
Right. True.
Okay. So when it comes to the nurse stuff, the mom baby stuff, why don't you do a quick rundown that is really simple of what kind of you do in like your 12-hour shift or how you're serving your moms and their families and these babies. So kind of this is the kind of care I provide, like a what to expect in your postpartum hours. And I know that could change if they're 4 hours fresh versus 36, but a general idea.
Just kind of go over like what a typical day looks like for me or more like for the patient.
I would say like a typical 12-hour shift, the kind of care that you're providing for your patients. Okay, yeah. So usually we have 3 couplets, so 3 moms, 3 babies. So when I get onto my shift, of course, we're like doing an assessment on everybody. So that's assessments on mom and baby. And then usually the people that I know when I are discharging, so like we just try to wrap up everything for them. So that's something I don't know if people really realize how much control I don't have over that. It's so up to like when the doctor's round. So your doctor has to see you and your baby every day before you can discharge. I don't know if it's different where you work, but they have to be assessed the day that they leave. So even they'll be like, oh my gosh. It's the same. And I'll interrupt and just affirm what she just said, you guys. It is so out of the nurse's hands when you can leave because they have to be rounded on and then the orders have to be put in and maybe they're being like lazy or slow about that from the office or something. So they have to be seen every day. And so even day of discharge, even if they were seen at like 6 p.m. the night before because it was late, they still have to be seen that morning before they go home.
Right. Which I know is very frustrating, but that's usually how it is. And it's just for your safety because they want to make sure things change even in a very short time. So they just want to make sure everyone's safe before they go. But anyway, so usually the people who are discharging, I'm kind of like, my priority is like making sure they get out of there if they're like antsy to get out of there. But it's a lot of like, just making sure things are done. So assessments are done, vitals are done. It's very task oriented. So make sure their hearing screen gets done. Lactation has seen them, or I'm helping them with lactation stuff. If they need like donor milk to go home, like I'm facilitating that happening a lot. Like, I mean, postpartum and mother baby in general, it's like 99% of the job is education. So I'm doing tons of talking and educating to my patients all day long. Like if we're in the bathroom and I'm getting somebody up, like I'm helping them do their pericare and stuff, I'm like explaining to them why we're doing it, what everything does, how, even when I'm like, okay, for the next 6 weeks, like yada yada, like I kind of go ahead and give them I'm kind of putting in the discharge education as I'm teaching them stuff while they're there too. So it's not like a bombardment of education when they leave, but I'll go ahead and be like, no tampons, no sex, no nothing for 6 weeks. Like I kind of go ahead and go over the spiel. So it's just a lot of like talking during just my whole shift of educating about the baby, about normal skin stuff or not, or how to like literally something as basic as like changing a diaper from like more complicated stuff. Like maybe we have a baby who has like a unique feeding issue or something and we're trying to like troubleshoot that. So it's just a lot of education, but I really like, honestly, I love that. I think that's probably why I'm okay making videos like you, answering questions all day too, because I love being able to do that. But yeah, giving babies baths, doing lab work. It's very busy. I feel like people say postpartum is like where people will joke like it's where nurses go to die. And I'm like, bro, there's days that it is insane. Like it is so busy. And we also just got a new charting system at my hospital that literally went live on the 15th. And I don't work again until next week. And so my first shift, I go back, we're having an all brand new charting system for everyone. And I'm like, I literally don't know what I'm going to be walking into because I've been talking to all my friends and stuff who've been working and they're like, it's awful. Like, great. So I'm going to be having to figure that out. And I don't even know how to discharge someone yet. Like we had a class, like we had to do all this online training and in-person training. So anyways, charting is a big part of our job too. And I'm not going to really know how to do that the next day that I go back to work. But anyways, that's that.
I remember doing the switch over from what we were on to Epic. I don't know what you guys are switching to, but I know a lot of people are aware of Epic. And I
like Epic, yeah.
It is so not fun. Even when you get efficient, guaranteed there's going to be care providers around you or like physicians, maybe sometimes the older ones, and I'm stereotyping, but like they are so angry because they can't put in like a discharge order. And so you're kind of then managing yourself and then maybe the providers around you. And it's just, it's a special time on a hospital unit, I think. Not very fun.
I kind of am like, it's maybe good and bad that I wasn't there this last week as it went live, but all my friends have been like, I am like gonna explode. It's so bad, like, because it changed for everyone. It wasn't just the nurses. So yeah, same like you're mentioning. It's like it changed for the doctors and stuff too, for everybody. So no one knows where anything is. Like we can't find it. So, anyways, it'll be okay. We'll eventually.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Your patients will never know because you guys are such good professionals.
I hope so. I just feel bad though. I'm like, I hope it's not gonna slow people down and us trying to provide good care. It's just like, be patient. We'll figure it out. So.
I know, because there is that little bit of like, hey, I know you want to go home. We have a new charting system. And they're like, I don't care. I would like to go home with my baby.
I know.
I respect that and send me home.
Yeah, for sure.
When you mentioned breastfeeding support as well, what do you feel like that looks like for patients? Like how much support they're getting from and this probably depends on facility, but how much support they're getting from their mom baby nurse versus the LC or the IBCLC that maybe that hospital offers? Because I know you do a ton of education. So how does that look like for them with the other professionals around too?
Yeah, my hospital doesn't have any lactation coverage at night. So for sure they leave usually around like 4 or 5 p.m. So for sure I'm doing a lot the last couple hours of my shift when they're not there. And then night shift has to do a lot too, but I'm on day shift. At my hospital, we have to spend quite a bit of time doing education with lactation. So we have to spend a day, like 1 or 2, when you first get hired, you spend, I think 2 days just shadowing lactation. So you just follow them and they just like pour so much knowledge into you. And then we also have to do yearly training with the lactation consultants at my job. So I feel like my hospital does a really good job of like really making sure we're pretty educated on everything. So I would say like if it's a complicated thing and my patient's like, I need help with this, I'll try to help them first if I'm just in there, like, and I have time, I will like help them. So anything simple from just like they just need their baby to latch and I'm just kind of helping them with like positioning and stuff. You know, if they maybe like we're trying to kind of work on, mom has like flatter nipples, like we're assessing like, do we need to bring like a nipple shield into this? Do we just need to do some pumping? What do we let's kind of like figure this out. Is it just like maybe your nipples are more flat right now from some edema? We're just trying to, are you engorged? Like we'll try to troubleshoot all that. We can do a lot. Like I feel like just me, like nurses and the patient. But if it starts to get into more complicated stuff where I'm having issues, I'll be like, let me phone a friend. So, and then, I mean, I love lactation consultants because they are miracle workers. And even like having my own kids, like you'd think I know everything. And it's like, no, and each baby is so different too. Like my first was a very easy, like no issues breastfeeder, literally could just latch herself easy. But then my second baby, even though I had all this experience breastfeeding an easy baby and then worked then in mother baby, my second was like very difficult and I still needed so much help from lactation, even being a mother baby nurse. So yeah, I would say that's kind of like typical how it is for a hospital, but some places have lactation 24/7. They have them at night on night shift. Some don't have as much coverage, and so then it might be more of the nurses. So I just feel like it's very hospital dependent.
It makes me think of that idea sometimes of in labor where the patient might not understand how much the nurse can do too. But yes, there is a professional, I'm going to say above, talking about like the IBCLC or the MD. Right. So you get this kind of like, hey, let me help you first. I actually have a lot of skills on XYZ, you know, when maybe that's in birth. They're like, oh, is the doctor going to come back and check my cervix? And you're like, oh, I can do that. Right. Like we don't have to go directly to, let's say, the top. And I think it's helpful to know that for birth and then also for postpartum too. And in this breastfeeding conversation specifically, because we were similar, all trained for a few days with that LC or IBCLC only when we started, continued education. We didn't have someone at night. So very similar to what you just described. And so just the understanding of like, hey, that postpartum nurse is very likely an excellent breastfeeding resource. They're probably going to try and help you first. And then, yes, we're also going to call, you know, we'll say more qualified professional too. And so I think it's good for patients to know that there's a couple different places you can get help and that, yes, you can always
For
ask
sure.
to see that IBCLC every shift or whatever. But
Right.
like, I just remember shifts where we'd have, I don't know, 12 moms trying to discharge before 1 p.m. And that IBCLC maybe is trying to see all of them before they go. It's like, you might get a quick 10 minutes with them, but they also have to like see every patient being discharged or going home. And so, yeah, I guess I'm saying for a patient to ideally, fingers crossed, you get a mom baby nurse who is interested in helping you breastfeed, because I know that's not always true. And some of you are probably thinking, mine didn't want to help me at all. And that you then also know, utilize them and also ask for
Yeah.
additional help too. Just make use of all of what's available to you in that regard.
For sure.
So tell me about, in the postpartum care you talked about, I've seen you talk about this online as well. Let's talk about the idea of grouping care, keeping people out, getting sleep. Like, what's your little spiel on patients being able to get sleep and how they can kind of advocate for that when they're postpartum?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a huge passion of mine. Well, we know that clustering care is like evidence-based. The research shows it makes nurses like report higher levels of like less, well, I don't even know how to describe it. They feel less like stressed and less burned out when we cluster care better. It provides greater happiness for our patients, but also keeps them safe. I think it like reduces length of stay. It's like crazy. The research on it is very strong. So I don't know what your hospital's policy is, but in labor, you're obviously going to be a lot close, like more monitored. There's going to be a lot more people in there and more frequent checks. But at least for postpartum where I work, I always apologize. I'm like, okay, the first 4 hours when you get to postpartum, we're going to be in here a little bit more. We come in every hour for 4 hours. And then after that, our policy is rounding or kind of checking on you about every 2 hours. However, with that said, if you are sleeping, I will not wake you up. Or if you want to decline that, like if it's nighttime, I don't really know what night shift does. I know that they'll let people obviously sleep longer uninterrupted. But on day shift, I'll be like, if we want to put a sign, we have do not disturb signs that we have it flipped backwards on everyone's door with a magnet. And if they want us to flip it over, we can. That says don't disturb, mom is sleeping. But then it says at the bottom, like, please see nurse if you need something. So if that sign is up, then usually like doctors or labs will still go in there because they got things to do that they need to do at a specific time. But if it's like a WIC person, if it's a hearing screener, if it's food and nutrition, if it's a did I say hearing screen? I don't know. If it's somebody who's like doesn't absolutely need to go in there at that moment and they can come back, they'll come back. They'll circle back another time. So I feel like that is really beneficial for like limiting interactions. And yeah, I just tell my patients that like, hey, if you need to sleep, like we know sleep is important for healing. Like rest and sleep, good quality sleep is important for your body healing and for your mental health. So like, if you need to sleep, just tell me and I will flip your sign over and I will like try to keep people out as best I can. I will do my best. I can't guarantee it. But yeah, I just try to like really make that happen because I think it's super important. And yeah, just advocate for yourself. If you're like, I need to sleep, like please tell your nurses that, like, because some people will be mad. They'll be like, I didn't get any sleep. And I know sometimes people just come in there and bother you so much, but sometimes newer nurses or nurses who are just like really like particular about things being done at a certain time, like that can be hard. And I feel like sometimes you need to like relax a little bit and just be like, hey, like they need to sleep. I don't necessarily need to go in there at this specific time and bother them. Like, so if you have a nurse that's kind of bothering you a lot, don't feel bad to ask and be like, hey, do you mind like, give me like an X amount of time to really get some sleep and try to not come in here. So that's totally valid.
Really quickly kind of define what you mean by clustering care, just in case people don't know what you actually mean or how that plays in with this sleep conversation?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, clustering care is like, so for example, if you need to go, let's say that you have a vital signs, we usually do them every 4 hours. Let's say you have vital signs at 12. So let's say it's 10 a.m. and I'm like, ooh, I need to get them to sign like a birth certificate or something. So instead of going in there at 10, when I think about that, like, oh, I want to go get that done, I'd be like, you know what? Actually, I know I need to go in there at 12 anyway for vital signs. So I'm just going to wait and I'll just cluster everything I need to do then. And I'm like, oh, what else and I'm just thinking ahead, like, what else do I need to ask her? Well, I'm in there like, when was the last time baby ate? and have they had any pees or poops? And I'm kind of just like, I'll usually write it on my paper, like little things I need to check off to ask them. So just trying to think about all the things I need to do so I can just do it all at once. And so I'm bothering them all at one time and not like spreading out all of the interactions, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's perfect. Because in theory, you guys, it could be where you have ibuprofen due at 8 a.m. and then you have a stool softener available at 10 a.m. and then you have vitals at noon and then baby has 24-hour checks at 1 p.m. And we could keep doing this. Like a lot of days, technically, if you did something exactly when it was due, could look like that for patients. And so this idea of, the nurse has kind of like ambiguity around when a medicine, most medicines, not every medicine, but like when they can give a medicine, right? So you can have your stool softener, an hour earlier than it's scheduled or an hour you can have any time after. But this idea of the nurse being able to do that for you guys, and then you can get that sleep. So if you're saying, hey, I really want sleep, I think it's nice for you guys to understand that then means they're going to come in all at once and then truly like not come back in unless you call them.
Unless you call, yeah.
Right. Because sometimes I think there's the idea of they didn't come in for 3 hours, like they don't fully know that might be the goal. And I'm sure like Kara would be saying, all right, I'm not going to come back in until 1 p.m. unless you call me, right? Like that education is going to happen. But just knowing that really does mean they're not coming in for the next feed or whatever, and trying, if you needed a medication, you'd probably need to call and let them know, because the assumption is like, we're going to leave you alone so you guys can all take a nap or have some time. So that's perfect.
And you're right. Your nurse should be communicating that, like, call me if you need me. Because I know people online a lot will say that, like, no one checked on me all night or didn't. And like, I'm like, I'm sorry that happened. Like, I feel bad if you like really did need your nurse and you didn't want to be a bother. And so you're like, I didn't call them, but you're like, I wanted them to check on me. Like, I needed help and like no one came. So like, please don't feel bad if you're like, no one's checking on me, you truly need us, like, please, like, don't feel bad to call. That's what the call light's for. Like, that's okay. Like, you can call us, like nursing is a 24/7 job. So absolutely feel the need to call, because they're maybe not trying to be nefarious. Like, maybe they think you're sleeping. They don't think you need anything. So they're trying to give you a space or whatever. So anyways.
I did work nights my first couple of years before I gloriously got to switch to days. I did not like working nights. It's not good for my personality. But I think that happens a lot more at nights, that idea of like, I'm not going to go in there unless, they call out for me. And so that kind of, they didn't check on me the whole time type vibe might happen a little more nights. And I would say, like you said, again, not nefarious, but it's just like, we just assume, you were sleeping. And so if there's kind of crappy communication between you and nurse, which typically I would say is a little bit their fault, because they should let you know what the plan is for the night.
Yeah,
that can happen, where you feel a little abandoned and the nurse is thinking like, man, they must be sleeping great or whatever. So so definitely speak up, like Kara said, and use that call light and ask for what you need. Even if you had made the plan to not need them for 3 hours, who cares? Like, if you change your mind and you need help breastfeeding, then call. And that's like, the nurse knows they're still very much available for you.
I always say that when I'm leaving. I'm like, do you need anything? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, well then I'll say like, I'll be back. I'll try to be back on all like the even hours. So I'll come back at like 10. And I say, but once I leave, if you change your mind in 5 minutes and you need me again, just call me.
No, it's true. It's like you said, it's 24/7. It's not like you write in all these little 2-hour breaks for yourself if they might not need you. Like, you're still right there doing whatever with charting. You're probably charting. But anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, quick pause for a second. I just want to talk to you about breastfeeding. If this is something you are really hoping works out for the two of you, but you are also kind of low-key wondering why so many moms say it was so much harder than expected, this is for you. I created the Breastfeeding Blueprint because I saw too many patients with a new baby on their chest and zero breastfeeding education to support the two of them in what was coming next. This is not something that you want to walk into without information, resources, and a place to go to when you hit those inevitable bumps in the road. Successful breastfeeding stories start before birth, and good education means you walk into those first hours, those early days, and all the weeks and months that you are wanting to follow, aware of what's normal, best steps, what's next, and how to handle challenges that might come your way. This course will help you understand your body, your baby's body, how the two of you work together, and what to do, look for, or change when things are just not right. Milk supply latching routines, pumping, sore nipples, clogged ducts, bottles, it's all in here and so much more. If you want clarity, confidence, and education and support that will stick with you and your baby through all of it, the Breastfeeding Blueprint is it. Head to thelabormama.com/breastfeeding. It's also linked in your show notes, and use the code podcast at checkout to save 20% and get started right now. All right, let's get you back to your episode. Okay, so all of this type of care is kind of the things that you're doing. What are some things that you would say, let's say a little fresher, right? So you receive them from L&D and then you're caring for them for these next 12 hours or 24. What are some things you think that maybe most surprise people or your patients that they're maybe most uneducated about, or just, the things that you would want to make sure people are aware that they might walk through in those fresh times?
Yeah, that's a great question. For C-sections, for sure, I don't think they realize like the pericare involved. I think they just think, oh, it's all stomach related, so I'm not going to have anything to do down here. But we get up our C-sections like, well, they can get up whenever they want. So if they're like 2 hours post C-section, if they want to get up, we can for sure. We usually wait until after the fourth bundle check, the last one, and then we get them up. We go to the bathroom, we change their pad, change everything. If you pushed prior to the C-section, like you still might have swelling, but you're still going to have bleeding. So people are like, oh, I won't have any bleeding if I have a C-section, but you're still going to have bleeding from your vagina because your majority of your bleeding is coming from where your placenta came away from the uterus. So you're still going to have some bleeding. So that surprises a lot of people. So I still show them how to do the whole pericare thing. With vaginal deliveries, what surprises people the most? I think it probably still would be like a lot of pericare, or just like, especially if they had a tear or swelling, just like some of the discomfort down there. I don't think you really don't know what it feels like or what you're going through until it's happening. And I just want people to know about all of the tools and things that we have to help with that. So it's like, we have the pericare or the spray, the lidocaine spray. We have the witch hazel pads. We have ice packs. And this could depend on your hospital. So I don't want to make a promise like, oh, your hospital will have all of this. It's like, if you're like not quite sure, like you can always call your hospital and ask them. Or if you take a tour, ask whoever takes you on the tour, or just bring it yourself if you're like really feel strongly about it. But I would say like 99% of hospitals are going to have that basic stuff. I would say if it's important to you to like bring your own Depends underwear, because I didn't mind the hospital underwear, but sometimes we don't have a size that fits people correctly. So that can be very frustrating. So yeah, just that. And then I don't think people also realize just like you have like a lot of adrenaline like the first, so even if you're so tired and you've been up in labor for days, it can be hard to sleep like the first day. You're so excited to be with your baby and you just want to hold them and just soak it up. So that first day is just really hard to sleep, I feel like. But yeah, like the next night or two, I don't know, however long you stay, just like try to get the sleep if you can, prioritize the clustering care, ask your nurse to limit interruptions if at all possible, so you can try to sleep. Bring a sound machine, bring an eye mask or whatever you use to sleep. I always say bring your stuff that you would want at home. Like if you were like going on a little girl's trip for like a couple days, like what things would you bring with you? Are you someone who likes to have your own blanket and your own pillow? Then like bring it to the hospital. Like you can still bring all those same things, your home comfort. So whatever you need to sleep. So yeah.
Aren't you someone who also, I feel like I've seen this, you've shared this or someone has replied to you about it. You're more like, bring whatever you want. Stop this whole like minimalism. Like you guys are excessive. Like if you think you're going to need it and it's going to make you feel good, just bring it. And I think that's helpful to say though, because sometimes I think we get this idea of like, oh, I don't want to come in and the nurses are, I don't know, maybe laughing because I brought so much stuff or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
who cares?
Yeah. What you said is true. And I think especially postpartum, like if it means you're going to sleep a little bit or feel better when you're showering or something, that's so valuable right now in these new fresh hours.
It pisses me off so much when I see people complain about like, they're like, they brat that like, I would say like 99% of nurses like really don't care what you bring. Like we don't. And if they do, then like that's dumb because I'm like, who cares? Like, is it stopping me from doing my job? I literally don't care what you bring. Like no one is judging you. And if they do, then that's silly. Like I've had people bring like the most like craziest, like so much stuff. I've had people bring crock pots. I've had people bring like their own coffee maker from home. Like I've had people bring like a trundle bed. I've had like one parent, like this one girl, I think she was like some kind of influencer or something. So they brought all these ring lights and like camera equipment, like all of this elaborate equipment to like do a whole photo shoot. And I was like, girl, yeah, like hell yeah. Like I don't care. That's why, like I just want you to be comfortable and happy. So do whatever.
Well, and it's not your birth or your postpartum, right? It's theirs.
Exactly.
So whatever. The crock pot, that's hilarious. But I actually really love that because I'm just thinking even culturally, there were certain patients who their mamas were providing like this really specific food that they, eat after birth. And so sometimes there was like a really specific way that food needed to be prepared and shared and given. And so, yeah, I just don't know that there really are. I mean, there aren't boundaries. I don't know that we should even really put them around because what we need after is obviously going to be incredibly different. I did have a patient once, and it was only one time. And for some reason, it just shocked me. And now I think, oh, that's so thoughtful. They brought the stroller up into the room. And I thought, oh, why would you bring your stroller? But it ended up being great because they filled up the stroller with all this stuff. And that's like what they used to get, because we were, it's just like you just have to go upstairs, down the elevator into your car. And I was like, why do you have your stroller? You don't need your stroller. In my head, I promise I didn't say that to them out loud. And then thought, oh, what a great way to get all of your stuff down in the car. So
that's actually funny. I have lots of people bring their strollers. Actually, I feel like. But maybe when did you leave bedside?
Oh gosh, what year was it? 2017. So I think that might be more common now.
Yeah, probably because now I feel like a lot of people have like the Duna or like ones that like
do all the things. They're like stuff. Everything. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's why I see them more. That makes sense.
No, it does make sense. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of some surprising stuff immediately, maybe at the hospital. The last thing I wanted to ask you, and this might come from your own personal experience being a mom and having baby at home, is anything that kind of really surprised you the first couple of days at home when it's just, all right, we're home with this baby, and piggybacking on that, any kind of education, support, encouragement for whatever you're going to share.
I love that question. Yes, I was so not prepared for postpartum, which is another big reason why I am online doing content. But I was super prepared for labor and delivery. So like I had a doula. I did so much prep for my body and like mentally for my labor for all of them, but especially my first. I did so much preparing and then like had a really great birth. Everything went so well. And then I came home and it was like, oh, I literally did not even think. I just thought I'll come home and just have a cute baby. The end. Like, I don't know. I don't know what was going on in my brain, but no preparation for postpartum. Girl, this was also kind of before, it was 2018. So it was before like TikTok and kind of like Instagram was really just like pictures. It was no like reels. So it was just like pictures and it was just people sharing cute pictures of their baby, the end. So there's no education on like you never saw like, oh, pericare stuff, like anything. So like the whole like making a pericare basket, like that was not even a concept I'd heard of. So I got home and I literally had no pericare stuff. I didn't buy anything for postpartum. So I got home and I think one of the big things was my milk coming in. So I was really engorged and painful. I had nothing for that, like just nothing. So I felt very let down. I was kind of angry at like some of my friends and my sister who'd had babies. I was like, why did literally no one tell me this is terrible? Like, and I'm not to say like you're going to have a bad experience, because then my second and third were great because then I was prepared. So I was just really mad at a lot of people because I felt like I got let down. So I kind of had bad postpartum depression. And then it was also the winter and like I wasn't getting any sleep, and
went back to work at 6 weeks. I mean, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that's a whole other story. And then like I didn't really know how to advocate for what I needed. My husband really didn't know like anything either, which, now he's awesome, but it was like he didn't know. And then there was something else I was gonna say. Oh, like the lack, or like the not being able to just do what I wanted anymore, like when I wanted to do it. I don't even think I thought of that concept before. Like I was like, oh, I can't just like leave the house like whenever I want to willy nilly and like just go meet up with a friend or just go get food or whatever. My life is now revolving around someone else. And that was really hard, like to just mentally be like, who am I now? But anyway, so all I would say is like, please prepare for postpartum just as much as you would labor and delivery. And I have a video I made like on YouTube. I think it's like 25 minutes, and it's literally just like a crash course. Like if you do nothing else, at least watch this video that is just like, let's prepare you. Like, here's all the things to have at home. Here's how to prepare yourself mentally. Here's how to, the people around you, prepare them to tell them how to care for you and take care of your partner. So to make sure that they're on board and know how to support you. Here's when you need to seek help, and just kind of like a mentally and physically preparation thing. So if anything, at least go watch that on my YouTube, because that's just a short and sweet thing. But yeah, I would say that was the biggest struggle, and that was really hard.
I think the going home thing is always interesting because I do think there's this bit of like, you don't know until you know, right? And so the wisdom that you mentioned, like that you pulled forward with baby 2 or 3 or 4, is so, so valuable. But we don't have to think that we can't be prepared or be ready because it's our first time and we just have to like go through fire. And that's how this all works. And so I think there's this funky balance of educating and preparing is so valuable. And I would affirm like everything you said, like specifically engorgement. That first time I was like, no one ever, is this what my patients were going through? Like, this is nuts. Because I'd been bedside, right? And it's like, oh, they'll feel warm or they'll get hard. And it was like, I was not educating you guys well at all. Like, I apologize for all these patients behind me. So that specifically was a huge shock to me. But yeah, I think just that idea of, you're going to learn so, so much as you walk through all of this, but that doesn't mean that's like the only way to learn and prepare for postpartum. So just recognizing that both are true. Prepare, don't walk in just like, I'll just figure it out as I go along. Like, I think that can be a setup for a lot of us for not necessarily postpartum depression, but just for finding it way, way harder than maybe it has to be, that you could ease that with some education and some prep. So I love when nurses have also had the experience of walking through it, because I just think being able to put those two together is just really valuable, because you're like, oh, actually, I now know what XYZ feels like. And whoo, like there's the empathy and sympathy. Not to say that if a nurse hasn't had children, she's not an incredible nurse, because that was me for many years. And I hated when people asked me that question if I had kids. And I was like, no, but I'm a really good nurse. So don't judge me.
Oh yeah, some of the best nurses I work with are so funny. They're like, "Oh, I never want kids." It's so funny, but they're like some of the best nurses I know. So
I feel like usually that is the nurse that I want at my bedside, especially if ish hits the fan, because they're just so good at all of it.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Anyway, okay. So I know you just mentioned the YouTube video. We're gonna track that down and put in the show notes, because I think that sounds like such a good thing. Can you share really quickly where people can find you? I know you've kind of mentioned off and on. Just remind us again.
Yeah, if you want to, you can just go to my website. It's just careofthebabynurse.com, and then that will have links to all of my pages. But also, I'm everywhere, and it's the same handle everywhere. So YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, it's just at Care of the Baby Nurse, all one word, all lowercase. And then I have a little book. You can get it as like, it's on Amazon, and it's just either you can get it as like a Kindle download ebook, and it's like a couple dollars, or you can get it in a paperback too. But it's very short and sweet. I think it's like 45 or 50 pages. It's very short, and it's just like 20 chapters on basically just all of the things you need to know for everything, down and dirty education. And that is called Why Didn't I Learn This Parent Stuff Sooner? And then I have a baby sleep course, and that is Why Didn't I Learn This Sleep Stuff Sooner? And that's all like, it's linked everywhere. So if you look on any of my socials, it's in the link in my bio.
We didn't even get to sleep. I forgot. I know you have your course
That's
and I
okay.
wanted to ask you sleep question. We didn't get there.
Oh,
But
that's
that's
okay.
probably like technically it could be a very full conversation too. Because
Oh,
sleep
yeah.
is its
Don't worry.
whole
It's
other
a whole
realm
world.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
That's totally
Okay.
fine.
Last question I always ask you before you guys go is what's something in your life right now that's just bringing you a ton of joy?
Oh, that's so cute. Whew. Well, I'm about to go to therapy. I'm about to do that literally in like 30 minutes. But bringing me joy, honestly, reading. I'm a huge reader. I'm a huge fantasy reader. So I've just been reading some really good books lately. So just enjoying that. What about you? I want to know for you.
Well, that's funny. I know you're a huge reader. I meant to say something in the intro because I feel like that's not how I found you years ago. It was this baby mom stuff, but I do love all
Uh-huh.
the reading stuff you share now. And I did read All She Ever Wanted because of you and loved it, right?
Aw.
Is that what it's called?
Yes. Yes.
And I think when I had my fourth, which it's about a year and a half ago, that's like when I was really getting into the fantasy. Yeah. Like I hadn't done any of it yet. And I was late to the game for some of the big series that people love.
Oh, that's okay.
So now I feel like
It's never too late to start.
No, I'm just gobbling up all of them. And I think right now I feel lucky because it's like, oh my gosh, look at all these ones behind me that I had no idea about. Whereas someone who maybe has been reading it all along is waiting for the next one.
Next
And
one,
I'm like,
yeah.
wow, there's just so much that I haven't gotten to read
what's
yet.
like your favorite series, like if you had to say right now, or favorite book you've read?
Yeah, I did really, really love the fourth wing one. Man, that one I went through like fire. Less so the second and third one. I'll finish reading it, as she continues to release them. But man, when I read that one, I could not put that one down. I don't know that these are my favorite ever, but I hadn't read any of the ACOTAR, and I know everyone talks about these, but I saved them for postpartum, like literally to read when she was 2 days old, because I'd heard they were so good that I thought, like, this will help me stay awake at night when I'm with her. And I have the sweet spot for those because I literally was reading them postpartum. 4 days postpartum, 2 a.m. And I would just be reading because she wouldn't go back to sleep and we were up and stuff. And so I feel like I have this sentiment attached to those ones.
Yes, you never forget your show or your book that you're reading when you're postpartum at night,
Well, and I really didn't want to be scrolling with my fourth baby. I kind of started developing everything I'm doing online with my third baby. And I wasn't working at night, but I think I was maybe on my phone more with him, like breastfeeding, just because that's where I was. And I didn't love that. And so when she came along, I thought, like, I don't want to be on my phone. Like, I don't really want, I know they're babies, but I just don't even want them to like see that happening in theory when they're 2 weeks old. And so I read instead, which obviously you could say, oh, you were reading a Kindle. Is that any different than the phone? But for me, it was so much better because it was just escaping and reading. And I love, like, postpartum is hard. And she was my worst sleeper and blah, blah, blah. But I loved reading all of those nights. Like, I would go back to those nights just to be reading all of the books I was reading. But all she ever wanted was really cute, the one you recommended too. So if you guys want to, you want a book rec, Kara and I both endorse. That's what it's called, right? All She Ever Wanted?
Yeah, All She Ever Wanted by Sarah Lamardo. And she just posted an update that the second one is coming out in... Yeah, the next one is coming out like in just a couple months, I think. It's so good.
I love the first one because it was very realistic. And then all of a sudden there would be dashed in something that's more fantasy. And it was like somehow it fit, even though really it's not, it was mostly real. I don't know. I liked how she blended in a little bit of like another realm, kind of sneaking it in there, but in a really seamless way.
I know. I love pirates too. It's very, so for anyone
it
listening,
is about pirates.
It's like Pirates of the Caribbean meets Bridgerton vibes, but she also, I think she's such a good writer because she has a degree in creative writing or something. So she's like, she knows how to write. So it was like, I ate that book up. I love it.
I read it as soon as you recommended it. I think I read it pretty quick too. So thanks for that. Thanks for today.
I'm honored that you will take my recommendations. I'm like, if people message me and they'll be like, I read that book you recommended. I'm like, you did? I'm like, I'm so honored.
But equally so, I get nervous too because I'm like, how do people judge you based on what books you love? And it doesn't matter, right? Because this is about you. But I'm like, oh, don't ask me my favorite book. Are you going to be disappointed in my answer? I don't know.
No.
It doesn't matter.
Everyone has different tastes. And so whatever you like is great.
My husband won't even read fiction. So I'm like, but babe, this is so like, why? It's the best. So it's like a whole other thing.
Your husband is like mine then. My husband reads a lot, but he is like a boring reader. He reads like Atomic Habits and like, all these like very self-helpy smart people books. And
that's mine too.
I hate it. I'm like, you're so obnoxious. I mean, he's not. He's very like an educated man, but I'm like, that's annoying. But I think I did convince him. I said, well, I'll read one of your books if you will read one of mine. So now I have so much pressure on me because I'm like, shoot, I got to pick one that's like so good. Otherwise, he's going to be scared away forever. So I'm trying to decide which one I'm going to pick. I'm like, do I pick Fourth Wing? Do I pick ACOTAR? Like, I don't know, but I got to choose well because this is like a lot hinges on it. So.
Not ACOTAR. The first one's hard to get into. If you want them to like it, I would say Fourth Wing. Over ACOTAR.
I know, but then I'm the same with you where I don't like the second and third Fourth Wing series. So I'm like, shoot, I don't know. So it's hard. Yeah. I'm gonna think about it. I might do Red Rising because I haven't read it yet, but I just from what I know about it, I think he would really like it. And I'm gonna read it first. I have it, so I'm gonna read it, and if it's really good, then we'll see.
Perfect. Sorry guys for our book club chat. I hope you love that. All right, Kara, well, thank you for your time today. And like not cheesily, but kind of cheesily, thanks for what you're doing for these moms. Like I can't imagine the lives that you are changing, both at the bedside but of course, the thousands and thousands who don't get to have you as their nurse. So
you're so
keep
sweet.
Doing it.
Back at you. At you.
All right, talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Lo and Behold podcast. I hope there was something for you in today's episode that made you think, made you laugh, or made you feel seen. For show notes and links to the resources, freebies, or discount codes mentioned in this episode, please head over to loandbeholdpodcast.com. If you aren't following along yet, make sure to tap subscribe or follow in your podcast app so we can keep hanging out together. And if you haven't heard it yet today, you're doing a really good job. A little reminder for you before you go. Opinions shared by guests of this show are their own and do not always reflect those of myself and the Labor Mama platform. Additionally, the information you hear on this podcast or that you receive via any linked resources should not be considered medical advice. Please see our full disclaimer at the link in your show notes.